We are officially live on Soulfield Sunday on the 9th of March. And just so full of joy to be here with you all who are here live with us. I just feel so excited to see your faces and super glad to be with those of you who are joining us via recording in the Eternal Now.
Yes. So if you have your candles, let's start by lighting our candles and entering the soul field together. Mm. As we are entering the soul field, we open the portal of divine perfection. In this portal, you are welcome to release any energies that need recycling, things that no longer serve you, or things that you want to have held while you are here in Soul Field. Anything that you need to put aside for a moment or permanently, leave it there and welcome.
Yeah. And as you're doing that, just take a minute, feel your breath. Just let there be a landing in breath. And as you land in the breath, you can feel the body more fully. And as you feel the body more fully, just with a simple intention, open to your body being more fully supported by our earth, this ease-filled resonance between you. And as you open to that, feel yourself opening even more to the soul field, the blessing that we are here together in this sacred space. And we will, with that, speak our opening prayer. We come with grateful, reverent, and open hearts to drink from the deep well of our eternal nature. As we dive into the soul field together, we are held within a sacred and holy embrace by the source of all love, light, and grace. In this eternal now, we actively invoke our unique pathways to source and the beings of love light that support our divine evolving. We allow our mind, body, spirit to expand into the holy realms where magic and miracles are commonplace. As we minister to ourselves, we minister to one another and our family humanity. We recognize we are one in the holy wholeness. We allow all we do here today to ripple out through our lives as a living witness of divine grace for the benefit of all our relations.
Mm. Venimos con corazones agradecidos, reverentes y abiertos a beber del profundo pozo de nuestra naturaleza eterna. A medida que nos sumergimos juntos aquí en el campo del alma, somos sagradamente acogidos por una fuente de todo amor, luz y gracia divina. En este ahora eterno, pedimos que se abran nuestros caminos hacia el Creador, junto con los seres de luz y amor que apoyan nuestra evolución divina. Permitimos que nuestra mente, cuerpo y espíritu se expandan hacia los reinos sagrados, donde la magia y los milagros ocurren constantemente. A medida que atendemos nuestras propias necesidades, así atendemos el uno al otro y a toda nuestra familia humana, reconociendo que somos uno en la totalidad sagrada. Permitamos que todo lo que se haga aquí hoy continúe fluyendo en nuestras vidas como un testimonio vivo de la gracia divina para el beneficio de todos. Just reading that just made me like tearful because it's like landing.
Ooh, yeah, yeah. We are truly blessed to be here. And as you're letting yourself land and coming into the prayer field, coming into the soul field, just take a minute if you'd like to and For those of you who are live, just sort of type in the chat field, like, what's here with you today? What are you bringing? What are you feeling right now? What are you holding in your life that wants a special focus and attention? And as you put that there, we just all can hold that with us as we are together in this sacred way today. We're going to be continuing our series on grounding the esoteric. And today we're going to talk about intentionality in living the frequency of our divine. What does that mean to be intentional about living the frequency of our divinity? And so we'll begin with our affirmation for this series. And Nancy, I was thinking of something about this affirmation that we came up with. And I wanted to speak to it for a second. So when you put it up on the screen, I'll just talk a minute before we start tapping. So I want to speak about the image and that first sentence, I open to the sacred pearl of my divinity. And this image of the pearl with these crystalline emanations and sort of starlight around it. In many spiritual traditions, there's this talk about the sacred pearl. And what Nancy and I are bringing in here today is that we are the sacred pearl. The divinity that we are is the sacred pearl. And so that's why this statement is here at the beginning. It's like a remembrance and a reworking that we are what we're searching for. We are that holy wholeness. And so as you tap today, yes, that as you tap today, really feel that. Let the image itself come into you as a sacred remembrance. And so we'll begin our tapping. Nancy will cue us and we will repeat. We can tap at the thymus or rub on the ear lobes.
Can you see it?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. I'm gonna put my ears down to the sacred pearl of my divinity.
I open to the sacred pearl of my divinity.
I invoke my 10th, 11th, and 12th dimensional light bodies to fully illuminate my biospiritual system.
I invoke my 10th, 11th, and 12th dimensional light bodies to fully illuminate my biospiritual system.
I rejoice and delight in my angelic embodiment.
I rejoice and delight in my angelic embodiment.
Eternal wisdom reshapes my life into ever expanding beauty.
Eternal wisdom reshapes my life into ever expanding beauty.
I open to the sacred pearl of my divinity.
I open to the sacred pearl of my divinity.
I invoke my 10th, 11th, and 12th dimensional light bodies to fully illuminate my biospiritual system.
I invoke my 10th, 11th, and 12th dimensional light bodies to fully illuminate my biospiritual system.
I rejoice and delight in my angelic embodiment.
I rejoice and delight in my angelic embodiment.
Eternal wisdom reshapes my life into ever expanding beauty.
Eternal wisdom reshapes my life into ever expanding beauty.
I open to the sacred pearl of my divinity.
I open to the sacred pearl of my divinity.
I invoke my 10th, 11th, and 12th dimensional light bodies to fully illuminate my biospiritual system.
I invoke my 10th, 11th, and 12th dimensional light bodies to fully illuminate my biospiritual system.
I rejoice and delight in my angelic embodiment.
I rejoice and delight in my angelic embodiment.
Eternal wisdom reshapes my life into ever expanding beauty.
Eternal wisdom reshapes my life into ever expanding beauty.
Mhm. Mm.
So, this is spiritual technology here, these affirmations and the tapping. We are really calling in this series the grounding of the higher dimensions of our being. And this is a little off script, but I just feel like, oh, like spirit feels like it's calling me to speak to these statements a little bit. I spoke to that first one. And the second one, I invoke my 10th, 11th, and 12th dimensional light bodies. So we have this DNA that scientists have called junk DNA because they don't know what it is. The reality is, this is DNA that when our higher beings of light that we are part of connect in this body, it reshapes, literally reshapes our biology. And so we are calling in those higher dimensions to come and activate those strands of DNA that go not just, to the third dimension, but the fourth, fifth, sixth dimension, the sixth, seventh, eighth dimension, the 10th, 11th, 12th dimension, ninth, 10th, 11th, 12th dimension, like that on up. And we're calling that here because those higher versions of us have a level of intelligence that can come and like descend. And so we often hear about like awakening Kundalini, and this is this energy that rises up to reach to spirit. But what we're talking about here is the descent of our great light here, what we might call descending Kundalini. And this is a different frequency, and it organizes us with greater ease. Sometimes when this energy comes up, it can cause disorganization. This way, the higher intelligence is guiding, not the ego, not the personality, not the culture, like that. And so we're calling that in, that rejoicing in the angelic embodiment, our service, our sacred service, our becoming beacons of light to others is the end point of our evolutionary trajectory. That's where we go. And so we are rejoicing that we are going there to this place where we are light unto another. First, of course, we receive it for ourselves, and then we are light unto another, right? And this is the goal, right? This is why. This is the why you're here, even if you don't remember it yet.
Yes, yes. And the eternal wisdom reshapes my life. It's not us, our ego, our need to create something because that's the way we think it should go, is eternal wisdom. Eternal wisdom is always guiding us, always reshaping our lives, and it's always evolving, always becoming greater and greater. We resist change because it's hard. Change is hard. We like predictable things. We like to know what's coming. We trusting is very difficult. But when we can trust eternal wisdom, we can trust soul feel, then it's not our ego guiding, is our intuition, is our connection, is light. And so for that, we need to detox. We need to let go. And we have arrived for those that follow Catholicism. On Wednesday was Ash Wednesday, which is sort of like symbolic of ashes, the death, the the ending of a season, and then the resurrection, right? And Lent is a moment to prepare us for resurrection. And in that preparation, we need to shed, we need to let go, we need to release so we can really let guidance tell us what is coming. And we don't just let go of like, okay, I'm not going to eat chocolate. We can also let go of our limitations, um, our beliefs that we know that we think we're in control. Um, the thought of it has to go this way or else it's bad. Like when we surrender to what is, magic really happens. Like we really can allow ourselves to resurrect into that expanding beauty. Um, Again, it's not easy, right? To make that choice. It's not easy to let go. We have to look inside and think, okay, in what ways am I limiting myself? And what are the things that I need to shed and let go? And so we can be illuminated. How can we tap into those levels?
It's sort of this twofold thing. One of the things that, um, although I'm not a big proponent in terms of my own journey right now of any kind of organized religiosity with dogma, there's one thing that I love about the Catholic Church. There's a lot of things, but one thing I love is that they have these periods, right? So this period we're in right now is called Lent, and it's between this Wednesday that just happened and Easter Sunday. And there's this sense about being intentional during that time frame. And it also coincides with the time frame when we're moving from the end of winter, the last bit of shedding and reworking, into the rebirth of spring. So we're also moving toward the spring equinox. And this is a time to really be intentional. We also have a time sort of cosmically happening on the planet that's calling for a level of intentionality. And so part of what we are inviting is for us to ride this cosmic wave, this sort of seasonal wave, and this sacred wave that is really about clearly choosing and preparing our biospiritual system and our life to receive more grace, to receive more of our light, like to resurrect in this third dimensional experience of form, to resurrect a body of light that is really living in that angelic space of sacred service and of being in the flow and the magic of how life orchestrates. In order to do that, we have to let go of the fear. Some people say fear is false evidence appearing real, right? We have to choose, and it's a 2-point choice, the choice to affirm and amplify and lean into the sacred truths, the sacred eternal truths, and to let go of the cultural distortions, illusions, and perpetrations of fear meant to control, manipulate, and have power over us. We have to do both of those things. And it's hard right now because in the outer world, there's an amplification, and lots of people are really stirred up about lots of things. And I am not saying that it's wrong to pay attention and have a response. We actually need to hold ourselves when we have those responses with like great care, great love, great tenderness. And then we must choose to release that and calibrate to what is sacred, to release the fear and calibrate to our divinity.
Yeah. And as we are wanting to calibrate and tune in, one of the things that we need to pay attention to is how are we getting in the way? And so we need to do an intentional detoxing, and things will start showing up for you. Um, Things will start showing up in a way that will require attention. It will require that you attend to that pain body, that you attend to those limiting beliefs, that you attend to the ego being the one that guides you, that you attend to the fears of getting yourself out there or whatever it is that is blocking you from honoring who you truly are, from being the truth of who you are. And so this intentional detoxing is not pretty. It means that you have to now uncover things that you've been covering for a long time. Things that you're like, I don't want to look at this because look at me, I'm all perfect and I'm all good over here. It's like, no, open that because you really want to tap, then open that and let's release all of those things, but with a lot of compassion, a lot of love, because we already carry so much shame, we already carry so much pain that in in discovering all of this all of these things that we need to detox, we might want to push it back down or ignore it or punish ourselves for having all of those things. And the point is, um, understand that everything that has been happening, we're teachers, and they are inviting us to evolve.
Yeah.
They're inviting us to elevate ourselves. And so let's intentionally detox.
One of the ways that we do this with more and more grace is that we hold it and we hold ourselves lightly. And what I mean by that is we have a great understanding that as a species um, that has been here for a while, we have all sorts of adaptations that have been biological adaptations, emotional adaptations, mental adaptations that have been made from a long, long time ago. And we have all these traumas from a long, long time ago. We now know that like that stuff is in us, right? And so when we see something about ourselves that we're like, ooh, I wish I wasn't like that, or I wish I didn't do that, or we see a way that we have adapted, we can hold it lightly by recognizing, like, oh my gosh, like as a species, we just have these things. We have these places of guilt and shame. We have these places where we aggress unnecessarily. We have these places where we, you know, are in some way or another um, doing things and behaving in ways that don't serve the highest good of us or another. But we hold it lightly by remembering this doesn't mean like I'm some faulty, horrible, nasty being. Like that's the lie that we're trying to discard. That's the illusion. That's the false evidence appearing real. So we hold it with compassion that we feel that way, but we hold it lightly because we know it's not the truth of who we are. And that's why these things go hand in hand, because when we plug in, we remember who we are. We remember we are a sacred child of the universe, and we feel it and we know it. And we remember that the divine is nothing but exquisite, sacred holding and love. We remember the lie of some mean, angry man in the sky who's going to punish us if we screw up. Like when we plug in, we remember the truth. And so we can hold lightly the things we're detoxing when we're remembering the truth and we're remembering the pain that got us there. But we don't bow down to the pain and keep it going. We say, thank you for your service. I remember who I am now. And you may go through the portal to the temple of divine perfection and leave me now because I am going to embody my higher beingness. That's my
Mhm.
choice.
Yes. And like we said in the prayer, in the opening prayer, as we minister to ourselves, we minister to one another. So whatever you are transforming for all of us. Whatever you're shifting for all of us. It affects us all. And so this work that you are doing personally, I I mean, Luminar and I and everybody want to thank you for that work
Mhm.
because you're changing me, you're changing us
Mhm.
in the work that you're doing.
Totally.
Um, yeah.
It totally matters. Like Nancy's speaking to how much it matters that we consciously, daily, moment by moment, choose these two things simultaneously to amplify and connect with our light and to release the things that would have us believe something else, right? Because our frequency here matters. And we have this like, as a species, we're sort of at this critical moment. Like, what are we going to choose? Are we going to choose to remember who we are and step out of the illusions that are so loud right now? Or are we going to spiral into those illusions more and more and dissolve? Right? We choose that. We are creating our reality here. And so, where you place your energy, where you vibrate, whether you're vibrating with the frequency of culture or the frequency of your divinity, it matters. The more vibration there is of the frequency of divinity, the more easily people can choose that. It's like it becomes something on the menu that's tangible, that's felt. We know from science, like hard science, the field of love amplifies out much, much farther and wider than the field of fear. And it's a coherent field. It draws things into alignment with it. And so that's what we mean by angelic presence. If you are living that frequency, you are calling people into alignment.
Yes.
And it's
And
powerful.
totally. Yeah, it's so powerful. It's like a ripple effect for sure. Um, but we need to really be aware of those subtle fears.
Mm.
We
Yeah.
need to be aware where they live because they are hiding in places. And if we're trying to connect to our angelic self and those fears are creeping in, we're gonna get distracted. And so is being aware of every moment that the fear tries to creep in, being aware of that and look at it with compassion and saying, hey, what are you trying to do here? What are you trying to say? What are you trying to teach me? What is it? And analyze it or look at it with love and compassion and say, where did I get this from? I don't think I need this anymore. Is this a society thing? Is this my parents? What is this? Okay. I love you. Thank you for protecting me. Thank you for teaching me. Um, Here you go. Temple. Can you take care of this? And then let me into the truth and the truth of who I am. The fears are something we lived with most of our lives. We were not born with these fears. We created these fears. And so sometimes they become a part of our lives and we live with them and we don't realize we're living with them. And so our invitation is to open yourself, to be aware of yourself, to remember and to release it with love,
Mhm.
to discover that there's another way, a stronger, more potent way to live.
We're going to shift into meditation in just a moment. But as Nancy spoke that, it made me think of something that I want to speak to in terms of what the antidote is to fear and any maladaptive pattern. Years ago, in this attempt to support people in remembering and awakening and connecting, I was on this like gathering all the tools, and I'm so grateful for all the tools that I have. They're amazing and wonderful. But what I realized as I worked with people over time is that it wasn't the tool that was the medicine. It was that the tool caused them to remember a higher truth, whether it's at the level of body, emotion, or mind or spirit. And it's the remembering of the higher, more sacred truth that dissolves the maladaptation. And it's not remembering like a thought or an idea, it's visceral. And so today we're going to take us on this visceral journey in the meditation. We're going to actually use a geometry that is a transporter. And we're going to transport ourselves back to the place of remembrance. And we're going to walk us there. Nancy and I are going to walk us there together to our sacred place so that we can be bathed in remembrance, And we'll intend together right now. I'm going to talk a little bit about the geometry, but we'll intend together right now that whatever it is that is living in us, that is an adaptation ready to dissolve, that is a fear ready to be released, that is something we inherited that we don't even know we're carrying around. Like Nancy said, it's hiding in some corner over there, that we don't need it anymore. That when we go on this meditation of remembrance, we're just setting this intention together now, that those things dissolve in the sacred remembering. They literally just dissolve. Mm.
Hmm. So find that comfortable position
Should I share a little
and
image first, Nance?
a
Before,
what?
should I share the images first before we go in?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a good idea.
Do that. Okay. Nancy's going to take us in a second, but before she takes us in, I'm going to share this image. I'm going to start with this one. So, this image is a sort of like a two-dimensional representation of the Merkaba vehicle that we're going to invoke. It's going to have one four-sided pyramid that's sort of oriented to the top of our spine, and one that's oriented to the base of our spine. And we're going to be right about here. So the size I'm making this little circle, that's about the size we are. And here's a view of it so you can see it more in a three-dimensional, the four-sided base of the pyramid and such. And we're going to invoke a couple of flames, one flame for the upright pyramid and one flame for the inverted pyramid. And these flames are very particularly beautiful. One is the flame of angelic flight. It's this sort of like snowy, feathery white light with these threads of silver running through it. And you're going to see the similarity between these flames is like the second flame is the flame of sacred calling, which is also this kind of feathery white light, but it has flecks of turquoise in it. And so there's just this gorgeous, sort of like amazing, beautiful light that we're calling in that is both taking us into the angelic remembrance and waking up the sacred calling that we have to be that, to live that, and to release those things. So we'll call all of that in as we get into the meditation, but we just wanted to kind of give you the descriptors now so your mind isn't like, oh, what is happening now?
Mhm. Yeah. And you don't have to remember the colors or the shape. Your conscious mind knows. Mm. All right. Now let's get settled into a position where you can feel your spine straight, either laying down or sitting up. You can feel like there is sort of like a thread of light running from the top of your head straight down your tailbone. And letting this light run all the way down your legs, down into the earth. Going down deep into the core of the earth, anchoring you into a place that runs from a place in your body, like your belly button or solar plexus, down into the core of Mother Earth, like an umbilical cord, keeping you grounded into this experience. And at the same time, sending nourishment to you. this beautiful connection and interaction that you have with Mother Earth. Where you are nurtured, grounded, protected, loved infinitely.
You can feel these things viscerally. Deep relaxation, the crown tingling open.
And with every breath, you let yourself relax your mind so you can open up to your divine wisdom, the divine guidance.
One way to relax the thinking mind is to let the jaw rest slightly open. And it softens the space between the heart and the mind and lets the coherence of the heart become predominant. You can breathe into the heart. When you can feel gratitude for this moment, gratitude for this sacred time, gratitude for your body and your life. And you can feel how that amplifies the energy of the heart space. And you feel it, it's tangible beauty glowing from you, emanating. And this gratitude opens the energy of devotion. And this part of you that's here because you are devoted to your communion with the source of all love and light and grace. You are devoted to your sacred remembrance. And you feel that devotion coming online, preparing you to receive the beneficial frequencies of the flames and geometry we're going to invoke. The Merkaba or Merkaba is a vehicle of light that transports us to other time spaces, that takes us on a journey of soul. And so we're going to invoke this light frequency around us. And then Nancy and I will guide you through the Merkaba on a journey. And so we call forth the flame of angelic flight, the flame that's snowy, feathery white light with threads of silver light running through, to form a very large four-sided pyramid of light around your entire body and energy field, with the apex oriented to the top of the spine and the base oriented to the base of the spine. And we call forth the flame of sacred calling, the flame that is feathery white light with flecks of turquoise light moving through it to form a four-sided pyramid of light with the apex oriented to the base of the spine and the base of the pyramid oriented to the top, that will form a star Merkaba with that first pyramid of light, with you in the very center. And as these two pyramids of light come into form, they'll each begin to spin on that axis aligned with the spine in whatever way serves the greatest balance, harmonization, alignment, and supports the journey. And so you'll receive that. And you start to feel an awakening in the upper chest, this place we call the ascension heart. And this part of you knows where you're going. You're going to this sacred place in the womb of the Great Mother. As you are guided into this place, on the way there, you might feel like you're floating on clouds. It might even feel like there's the quality of water, like almost like you're on a waterbed floating on clouds. And you can feel this sacred ebb and flow. Here in the eternal waters, the eternal embryological waters, you allow yourself to be washed, every molecule, every cell remembered that before you came into the womb of your mother, you were here in this great womb of the Divine Mother. And you surrender into this sacred wholeness. You may feel the oscillations in your nervous system that feel like gentle somersaults or spirals. This is your system reworking. You allow that goodness. You may feel tingles or warmth or cooling in certain places. You may even feel a soft, gentle joy, this experience of no worry, no thing, just sacred holding. Nothing to do. There actually is no choice here because here you remember that you are the holy wholeness. And with intention, you can allow your whole body, the viscera, to begin to detox the illusions that are not congruent with what you know here in this sacred holding. And it's already happening. We're just speaking to bringing that in intentionally. Let your senses be washed by this embryological, magical water and light. Let your ears be clear of any falsehoods you've heard. Let your eyes be washed of any distortion and pain they've witnessed. Let your mouth and your voice be cleaned of anything less than fully nourishing that you have spoken or taken in. Let your cells and the surface of your skin be reminded that you can touch this sacred space of your divinity, of your true origin at any moment. And as you allow this and you feel the holy wholeness continuing to support you, we're going to play a song, our song for the series for reflection.
Up in the desert, maybe that's why I start to panic when I start to cry. I've always found comfort in a life that is dry. Be strong for your brother, make sure you shine. Can't let them discover the world's dimming light. A small voice of reason sings over the line. Oh, beautiful, magical child of the universe, why do you punish yourself for what you are not, when what you are is already enough?
Registering that you can find your way here anytime you want, and following that stream of light that anchored you in earth all the way back to this sacred now moment. I'm going to pause the recording.
Mm. And,
Wow.
and just know that this meditation will be recorded. And so you're welcome to come back to it over and over. This is a really good meditation if you are needing to detox some thoughts, if you're becoming aware of some limitations or things that you want to let go, you can always come back to this. If you're feeling stuck or you're forgetting your connection, this is a great one to come back to.
Mhm. Yeah. And this, the where you find this meditation is on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/at Soulfield Experience. Sort of all blurred together, no spaces. For those of you who aren't already on that channel, and you can get on that channel, and I think there's a way to subscribe, and then it'll just show up whenever you go to YouTube as a place that you go to, and so those will be there for you.
Mhm. And if you want to join us in live on Zoom, you can go to soulfield.org. That's our website. And then /calendar. And you can just put on your calendar when we have the gatherings, when we have the meditations, it'll automatically show up. And we also have Instagram and Facebook, Soulfield, and thank you. Thank you for joining us. And also thank you for your donations. Your
Mhm.
donations really, really help. You have no idea. We are able to help others through your donations. And we're also able to send all the emails and pay for Zoom, pay for constant contact, pay for all of the services that we're using to bring this to you consistently. So thank you. We really appreciate it.
Really appreciate
Luminara and I are doing this as a labor of love, and this donations really help us continue in this labor of love. So
it.
thank you.
Yeah.
And our next meditation is going to be, the meditations are, just a reminder, the first and third Wednesdays of the month. And so our next meditation is on March 19th. And the Soulfield gatherings like today are the second and fourth Sundays of every month. And our next gathering is going to be March 23rd. So
And for
we're
those
excited to see you again.
Yes. And for those of you who are not on the Soulfield calendar, we do have one exception coming up in April. So instead of meeting on the second Sunday in April, we're going to meet on the first Sunday and the fourth Sunday. My husband and I have our 30th wedding anniversary, and we're going to be on a trip. So Nancy and I moved it the Sunday before so that Kevin and I can have the time to just be together in that way. So you can mark your calendars if you don't have us already. And it changed automatically if you're on the Soulfield calendar. But if not, that's one exception coming up is that we'll meet on the 6th of April instead of the 13th of April.
Yeah. And we'll remind you on
Yeah.
our next gathering as well.
Totally. Totally.
All right. So celebrating 30 years. That's incredible. It's amazing. Yeah. So now we do our closing prayers.
We are deeply grateful to have experienced miraculous communion with our holy wholeness in the soul field. Boy, did we today. We wholeheartedly receive the upliftment of one another's communion and blessed soul light. As we close this formal gathering, we each in our own way will continue dwelling in the soul field and supporting our collective evolution. With deep gratitude, we thank one another and all our angels, guides, and guardians. Remembering as we minister to ourselves, we uplift one another. We encourage the magic we co created to ripple out to all our relations for the benefit of all beings.
Estamos profundamente agradecidos por esta experiencia milagrosa de comunión con nuestro ser sagrado aquí en el campo del alma. De todo corazón recibimos la comunión de cada uno de nosotros y de la luz de nuestra alma divina. Al culminar formalmente esta congregación, cada uno de nosotros de manera personal permaneceremos en el campo del alma apoyando nuestra evolución colectiva. Con profunda humildad agradecemos el uno al otro y a nuestros ancestros, ángeles y guías y guardianes de luz, recordando que cuando predicamos con nuestro ejemplo, nos elevamos el uno al otro y alentamos la magia que acabamos de co-crear para que se expanda a todos para el beneficio de la humanidad. So let's blow out our candles as we close our soul field gathering for today. Remember that you have the Temple of Divine Perfection available to you. So whatever you want to leave there, you can leave there. And whatever you want recycled, take it back. But it's available to you at any time. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much. I feel myself getting a little teary right now, just in deep, deep gratitude for the time we've spent together today. Bless you all. Nancy and I, as always, are holding you in our prayers, and we'll see you soon.
Yes.